All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to a absolutely bananas live stream. I don't know what to tell you. This is one of the absolute wildest breaking news stories that certainly we've had since probably the war started. And we're going to be talking about it. I think over the next couple of hours, I think we're going to see the Wagner column close it on Moscow. We're going to learn in real time, all of us together, just what sort of defense or who is still willing to defend Putin's regime in the face of Prigozhin and Wagner. And mostly we're just going to try to tease out truth from fiction in this crazy, fast breaking event. Yeah, I appreciate all you guys for joining me. I know it's the afternoon, but there's time. There's all sorts of it's all different times where you guys are. In Moscow time right now. I wonder what. Let me just see. What is the current Moscow time? Current Moscow time is 8:01 p.m. So they are 8 hours ahead of us. But I have my coffee. So we're here. We are in business. Yeah. So glad to see you guys. It was fascinating to be here on the live stream last night, where we really felt like we were watching in real time as this situation broke for Putin. Yeah, be sure, guys, hit the like button. I think liking and I think also subscribing really helps. I think it tells the algorithm that I'm making like legitimate war coverage instead of just sort of, fly by night nonsense. Yeah, Yankee, thanks, bro. Yeah, hopefully, you guys tune in. My goal in these is to help get you guys some signal from the noise. There's a lot of stuff being posted. Not all of it is true. And we're trying to find the best assessments of what's truly going on and maybe make a couple of inferences as we go, So I appreciate you guys. I also appreciate all you guys that joined the channel. As I talked about previously, covering this conflict, I think, is absolutely important. But as you guys probably know, sponsors don't love it. Sponsors don't love war content. And so if you guys are able and want to help keep me independent, keep me able to do this stuff, and you want access to my analysis of some of the uncensored combat footage, the on-the-ground stuff that I can't show you on YouTube, I can't show you on Patreon, then go to combatnews.com, become a member. Any one of these tiers, all of them have different perks, but any one of them is going to get you access to the members-only content, and it's going to get you access to the exclusive room on the Discord. So, again, it's the best way to support what I do. But obviously I appreciate all you guys that subscribe. There's also, the Discord also has a lot of free rooms, including the Ukraine war analysis room, where I'm actually going to be, pulling some of their, different OSINT finds on these events. So it's just a fun place to hang out, right? It's like military and gaming, no classified secrets allowed though. So sorry if you're looking for that kind of Discord. Okay. Blake Levy asked, what's the difference between exclusive content and members only content? None. There's one paywall. There's one set of content that you get access to. There's no like, I just use different terms. I just use different terms because that's what I did when I was setting it up. When I built the website, those of you that are the fans from a couple months ago, that I built Combat Vet News in an afternoon, basically in like one 24-hour period when I got kicked off of Patreon. And I lost all my Patreon subs. I couldn't post And so I literally in 24 hours built this like Patreon alternative, which is now Combat Vet News. And at first it was like so minimal. And we have expanded it over time, right, to now be a good news source and have all the YouTube videos on there. But yeah, if you're like, wow, this wording is inconsistent, that's why. Anyway, thanks for the super chats. Crashed. George, thank you. Michael next door asked about Ukraine's taking advantage of it. Definitely going to be talking about what this means for Ukraine, what Ukraine should do. Yeah. Ibanez reminded me that that at one point you asked me if Russia could keep going with all of its equipment overseas, how could it defend itself from internal strife? And I was like, they can't. And I'm basically correct. Yeah. The Wagner rebellion is coming in. Apparently the Freedom of Russia Legion is casting their die for their sides. This is just an overall banana situation. But let's, you guys are here. We're gonna break it. Let's break it down. Let's try to get. So let me pull up what I think are some of the better sources here. I think for a good quick status update, we can definitely turn to War Mapper. Let's get up the Twitter account. What is it called? It was OSINT Intel. Let me check. The Discord's got all this stuff. Let's see. Yeah, we're gonna drop in a bunch of stuff. I never thought I'd sit there and be like having good things to say about Twitter, but here I am. Oh yeah, we're definitely gonna be taking a look at Putin's statement. That's really interesting. I want to know what idiot wrote this statement for him. Honestly, this is just so bad. It's so bad. I'm like in awe of how bad it is. Right. We're going to take a look at the public's reaction to some of these Wagner troops. Just like there's just a ton. There really is just a tremendous amount. Thanks, Kirk Bumstead. I appreciate you. I appreciate all you guys, honestly. Okay. Let's see. So first off, let's take a look at the map, right? The map is going to be the best overall source. And we're going to be just like, this is, my goal is to have this be a little more of a live stream, right? So, or a little more of like a Hassan style live stream where like, we're going to catch the news in real time as it happens. Okay. So looking at the live stream or the live map, which has pretty good updates. It looks like, again, you're looking at, seems like Prigozhin is on his way to Moscow. Looks like as of 2 hours ago, looks like the lead elements are starting to reach the outskirts of Moscow. Probably they are going to do what's called a staging area. So probably well outside of Moscow, they're going to let all their forces catch up. They're going to redistribute ammunition. They're going to fuel up their vehicles. They're going to be ready for, probably the Russian main bodies like stand, whatever Russian forces remain. And we're going to try to take a look at that too. So they're going to be getting ready to deploy in like a combat formation. They might even conduct a few hours of what's called a hasty planning, which is where literally you get out your staff, you look at what you know now, you look at the map, you come up with some courses of action, you pick one, you execute, and you distribute those orders and you execute. You can see as of 5 hours ago, police cordons all over Moscow. Again, it looks like probably this ring probably represents approximately where they're going to try to make their at least their delaying stance. And right, we also have, of course, 4 hours ago, Prigozhin getting blocked on the internet. Yeah. So again, it's this is just some wild stuff. Let's take a look at War Mapper. War Mapper is usually pretty good about here we go. About yeah, here we go. And this is as of 8 hours ago. So again, they probably are on the outskirts of Moscow at this point, right? You can see the outermost ring. There's reportedly a Russian armed forces presence around here, but there hasn't really been a War Mapper update in 8 hours. According to Vicegrad 24, Wagner Group announced that most Russian army units in the Lipetsk region have switched sides and joined the column. I'd be very curious to know about the truth of that, right? It's really hard to figure this stuff out. So, okay. What I also want to take a look at is Putin's statement here. And this is interesting for a couple of reasons. Putin, obviously, ill, probably not super put together. But I want to take a look at his speech because this was probably from, I think, 8 hours ago or so. And I just want you to listen to it. And we're going to talk a little bit about why I think I've been talking for a long time on this channel about how out of touch the Kremlin is and how they are basically using a Soviet propaganda manual that wasn't that effective in the 60s, and they basically haven't updated it at all. Right? Prigozhin knows how to reach people. He knows social media. He knows how to play this game. And the Kremlin just doesn't. And and this is a classic example of it. So let's take a look. Okay, so you can see this is actually what you want to do if your regime is under threat. In this instance, right, he's got on a suit. He looks very presidential. He looks very confident. He has the flag of the Russian armed forces. He has the flag of the Russian state. And this is pretty common when you are, the more impotent you really are, the more you rely on the status, the symbols of state power, right? Because you don't have anything else to lean on, if that makes any sense. It's sort of like, again, you want to project strength, power, confidence. You want to project it more when you don't have it. It's sort of like, it's like somebody who leases a Bugatti, right? Andrew Tate. The more you lease these flashy cars, purport to have this incredibly good lifestyle, it's like every influencer, every finance influencer on TikTok. They lease a Lamborghini for a day. They lease a mansion for on Airbnb for a day. They film a bunch of videos. And it's almost like when you look at the really, really actually rich people on TikTok, totally different set of rules. They don't have a lot of flash. Sometimes they'll record stuff in their private jet, but you could tell it's because they're going somewhere. They have stuff to do. A lot of times they don't dress very fancy at all. And that's because they don't need to prove their prestige. They've just got it, and they know that you know it. So I think this is actually the look of someone whose government is under threat.
Состава вооруженных сил, правоохранительных органов и специальных служб, к бойцам и командирам, которые сейчас сражаются на своих боевых позициях, отбивают атаки противника. Делают это героически, зная.
Okay, this is interesting. One, a recognition that there is ongoing, persistent fighting. This is a huge admission. Again, they say that they're repelling attacks, but there weren't attacks that long ago. And honestly, when we look at some of the leaked videos, we don't actually see that much fighting. This itself is sort of troubling. We see more videos of fighting at the Ukraine front in a typical day than we've seen in this entire internal rebellion. So the fact that he doesn't address the Russian public, he says, I address the citizens of Russia. But then he says, I address the citizens of Russia. And then he switches. He addresses the personnel of the armed forces, law enforcement agencies, special services, fighters, and commanders. So what is, like, you're not addressing the citizens of Russia. It's like, I address the citizens of Russia, but mostly I'm addressing the security state apparatus. And that is that is right there troubling, because it implies to an audience, to us, that he doesn't actually have control of them, that this is how he's trying to reach them. Not a great sign, right? That, again, if you're the actual commander of the armed forces, you don't need to say, like, imagine if President Obama got on TV in 2010 and was like, to the soldiers in Afghanistan, please continue fighting the Taliban. And people would just be like, what do you mean, dude? If you're the commander in chief, like, why are you on TV asking us to do stuff? You just order us. You're the commander. Like, it would appear that he has lost control.
Делают это героически, зная, сегодня еще раз ночью говорил с командующими всех направлений. Обращаюсь и к тем, кого обманом или угрозами втянули в преступную авантюру, толкнули на путь тяжкого преступления, вооруженного мятежа. Россия сегодня ведет тяжелейшую борьбу за свое будущее, отражает агрессию неонацистов и их хозяев. Против нас направлено фактически...
Okay, this is actually a pretty common technique, and it's a pretty effective one, which is to quash individual rebellions through an appeal to a common enemy. It's a little tough when you're addressing people who've actually been at the front, and this is a tough thing. And again, it shows how disconnected the Kremlin is. They understand that they are fighting, like they know that Wagner, more than anyone, knows the reality on the ground. And so if you were to sit there and spew something that is clearly nonsense to someone who has fought, who has seen their buddies die at the front, to hear this person make this propaganda claim that you know is false is not going to resonate. In fact, it's going to double down on the message that Prigozhin has been pointing out, that this is a corrupt regime, that this is built on lies, etc.
Вся военная, экономическая, информационная машина Запада. Мы боремся за жизнь и безопасность наших людей. За наш суверенитет и независимость.
Yeah, imagine telling like an Afghan veteran that, like, when you were over there, you fought for our freedom. And it's like, listen, guy, I'm proud to have fought the Taliban. They're religious fanatics. They do horrible things to anyone who doesn't share their religion or ethnic background. They're monsters, but like, the Taliban was not an imminent threat to the United States' freedom. Like, I'm sorry. They just weren't. I never saw any evidence to indicate that. So if the president was to come out there and be like, that's what you fought for, it's like, nah, dude. Like, don't be like, you can bamboozle the public that that's the case, but you're not going to fool people who were there, you know? Especially when it's somebody like Daddy Vladdy, who definitely hasn't set foot anywhere near Ukraine.
Независимость. За право быть и оставаться Россией, государством с тысячелетней историей. Эта битва, когда решается судьба нашего народа, требует единения всех сил, единства, консолидации и ответственности, когда в сторону должно быть отброшено все, что ослабляет нас. Любые распри, которыми могут воспользоваться.
It's fascinating, again, that like, just to see him rely so heavily on this war as a source of national unity, as a source of like, don't do this. It's also fascinating that he appears to, like, he's not addressing the commanders at all, the actual people who are making these decisions.
И пользуются наши внешние враги, чтобы подорвать нас изнутри. И потому действия, которые раскалывают наше единство, это, по сути, отступничество от своего народа, от боевых товарищей, которые сражаются сейчас на фронте. Это удар в спину нашей стране и нашему народу. И именно...
Again, they talk about the Russia of, they're like, it's a stab in the back to the Russian people. He clearly is like, I am the government and I am the Russian people. Like that message is clearly what he's trying to project.
Такой удар был нанесен по России в 1917 году, когда страна вела Первую мировую войну. Но победу у нее украли. Интриги, склоки, политиканство за спиной армии и народа обернулись величайшим потрясением.
This is fascinating, and this is what shocks me the most, is that Putin has spent a lot of time and a lot of propaganda effort to link his current conflict with the Soviet Union era conflicts, especially the Second World War. So you have to remember, what he's talking about in 1917 is the Bolshevik Revolution. And in the Bolshevik Revolution, the Bolsheviks basically did exactly what's happening now, right? While huge portions of the Russian military were at the front lines fighting the First World War. And bear in mind, for Russia, the First World War, the Eastern Front, so to speak, didn't look like the Western Front, with very fixed lines, large-scale operations. It was a much more dynamic war. It was, by all accounts, far more brutal. The winters were worse. The summers were worse. There was a period in the Eastern Front where the greatest casualty, or considerable casualties, were inflicted by feral wolves. Okay? That's the sort of fighting environment they were in. And Russian generalship was comically incompetent. These people were fools. And the soldiers that paid the price were Russian conscripts. And in this context, right, meanwhile, while the Tsar was just a comical man-child with completely inept, who had been, who had been taken by basically a fraudster who had managed to take over the palace. And it was, everyone pretended like this was a competent leader until somebody finally was like, Tsar Nicholas is a fucking idiot. And the Bolsheviks in that context showed up, and there was almost no one willing to fight for the state at first. And that's how they were able to take over. And so, but remember, to someone who is pro-Soviet, anyone over the age of about 40 was taught in school that 1917 was a period of heroes, that the people who took out the Tsar, who ended the First World War, anyone over 40 is told that those people are heroes. And anyone under 40 in Russia is so westernized that they don't like Putin's authoritarian nature. They probably realize that Prigozhin is also an authoritarian thug, but he's not going to be worse than Putin.
Разрушением армии и распадом государства, утратой громадных территорий.
Yeah, there was, and bear in mind, guys, after the Bolsheviks took power, there was still a 20-year Russian Civil War. And in that Civil War, the pro-Tsarist, anti-Bolshevik really faction did end up losing. In the process, the Russian military did seem to have accrue a lot of capable officers, and then Stalin purged them all and sort of put them back to square one. So, Russia maintaining its reputation of having no skilled or innovative generals.
В итоге трагедии гражданской войны. Русские убивали русских, братьев. А корыстную выгоду извлекали разного рода политические авантюристы, да зарубежные силы, которые...
Okay, well, this just isn't true. I mean, it's not true for a couple of reasons. One, the Civil War ended in the 30s. The Soviet Union was unified, and by 1945 was a world power. So it's unfair, I think, to characterize it in that way. It definitely didn't tear it to pieces. It expanded its power beyond what anyone, including Peter the Great, had ever done. And again, it's so hard because it's like, imagine, this is the best analogy I can give. Imagine if a president was like, ladies and gentlemen, there has been a rebellion by Puerto Rico for their independence. And like the tragedy of 1776, we cannot allow these states to foment rebellion and independence. You know, as we all know, in 1776, it was followed by a period of great instability, you know, as the U.S. struggled with independence. And we'd be like, what are you talking about? 1776 was a noble day. It was America's independence. Like, how are you framing this as bad? I think that's unironically correct.
Делили страну, рвали ее на части. Мы не дадим этому повториться. Защитим и наш народ, и нашу государственность от любых угроз. В том числе от внутреннего предательства. А то, с чем мы столкнулись, это именно предательство. Непомерные амбиции и личные интересы привели к измене. К измене и своей стране, и своему народу, и тому делу, за которое бок о бок с другими нашими частями и подразделениями сражались и погибали бойцы и командиры группы «Вагнер». Герои, которые освобождали Солидар и Артемовск, города и поселки Донбасса.
Well, okay, all right. Acknowledging that the people doing this are war heroes and like praising what they're doing is, again, who wrote this? Like, you're like repeating all of the claims of your political enemy and being like, but it's bad. It's like, again, I can't even draw an analogy for this, but it'd be like being like the general leading this rebellion. He may tell you that he's a valiant war hero and a highly capable, is a valiant war hero and a highly capable soldier, and he's brave, and he, did all these great things, and then be like, but he shouldn't be rebelling. I'm like, okay.
Жались и отдавали свои жизни за Новороссию, за единство русского мира. Их имя и славу тоже предали те, кто пытается организовать мятеж, толкает страну к анархии и братоубийству, к поражению в конечном итоге и к капитуляции. Повторю, любая внутренняя смута – смертельная угроза для нашей государственности, для нас, как нации. Это удар по России, по нашему народу. И наши действия по защите Отечества от такой угрозы будут жесткие. Все, кто сознательно встал на путь предательства, кто готовил вооруженный мятеж, встал на путь шантажа и террористических методов, понесут неименуемое наказание. Ответят и перед законом, и перед нашим народом. Вооруженные силы и другие государственные органы получили необходимые приказы. Дополнительные меры антитеррористического характера вводятся сейчас в Москве, Московской области, ряде других регионов. Будут также предприняты
decisive action. We'll see.
решительные действия по стабилизации ситуации в Ростове-на-Дону. Она
again,
остается сложной.
This is not projecting confidence or authority.
Фактически заблокирована работа органов гражданского и военного управления. Как президент России и верховный главнокомандующий, как гражданин России сделаю все, чтобы отстоять страну, защитить конституционный строй, жизни и безопасности, свободу граждан.
This is just not projecting
Кто
confidence.
организовал и готовил военный мятеж, кто поднял оружие на боевых товарищей, предали Россию и ответят за это. А тех, кого пытаются втянуть в это преступление, призываю не совершать роковую и трагическую, неповторимую ошибку. Сделать единственно правильный выбор. Прекратить участие в преступных действиях. Верю, что мы сбережем и отстоим то, что дорого и свято для нас. И вместе с нашей Родиной мы...
Okay, so that is a pretty strong... The only thing that projected like actual credible strength is, I think, his threats. Now, I want to point out, actually, someone in the chat just pointed out, allegedly, so there's rumors going around that Lukashenko, of all people, negotiated a sort of ceasefire with Prigozhin. But we're going to try to vet if this is even true or what's going on. Let's see if we can find some sources here on this. Okay. According to Sputnik, a pro SputnikGlobe.com, which is not even the actual Sputnik, but Prigozhin agrees to stop Wagner march and start de-escalation after Lukashenko's mediation. All right, I'm pretty skeptical already. I don't believe that's true. Yeah, it's based on Russian sources. Yeah, this is Sputnik International, SputnikGlobe.com, so a strongly Russian affiliated channel. Has agreed to halt his advance on Moscow after mediation effort. Belarusian state media has reported. Okay. Lukashenko's talks with Prigozhin have stretched throughout the day. Were agreed with Putin. Agreed to the inadmissibility of unleashing a bloody massacre on Russian territory. Stop the movement of forces. Take steps to de-escalate tension. I'm pretty skeptical. Their further report indicated absolutely advantages an acceptable position for resolving the situation, but tabled, including security guarantees for Wagner fighters. Yeah, I don't think this is true. This just doesn't seem correct. Somebody named NSAJ. Wagner's advance has been stopped in Lipetsk region. This seems more plausible, but we've discussed this. That again, it probably hasn't. It's unlikely to have been stopped, but this is what you would do. Any commander is going to tell you that this isn't a ceasefire. This is a consolidation. What is sometimes called what you do at what we call an objective rally point. So when you're very close to your objective, as you see here, you stop at the last, classically the last covered and concealed position outside of small arms range. You stop. You're going to bring all your people up. You're going to, as we talked about, redistribute ammo, redistribute your gear, fuel up your vehicles, come up with a plan. So, and then you push onward. But I think the need for considerable speed means that I think Prigozhin is unlikely, is probably unlikely to continue. The Prigozhin's unlikely to really want to stop for very long. But let's take a look here. Let's see what's new. Interesting. So, according to this, leadership of the Russian Ministry of Defense is set to resign under a new proposal, but are waiting a response from Prigozhin. So that's as of 6 minutes ago. But we'll see if this is true. Okay, this is according to Concord Group. All right, well, if this is just audio, this isn't that helpful. Yeah, I can't translate this audio. But apparently 5 minutes ago, Concord Group just dropped it. Yeah, I don't know what, I can't tell what this means, but if it, whatever it is, right.
ЧВК Wagner.
It's hard to know, but this is from the official Concord Group. I just have a hard time believing that on the cusp of victory, he would get talked down, because he's got to understand that he has all the cards. So like what could he possibly be? What leverage does the government have over him? I don't understand. Doesn't make any sense. Let's see if we can find something else under the hashtag Prigozhin. I'm going to try to find a translation of this. Right, here's a translation of the stuff from Belarus. I mean, here's some interesting stuff from 43 minutes ago of their convoy arriving here. Let's take a look. So again, this is from 45 minutes ago on Twitter. Allegedly a Wagner convoy approaching Moscow. I mean, you can see just the scale of this. Lots of what look like fuel trucks, or maybe, I think these are fuel trucks. Very, very, very large, very well supplied. Let's see if we can find, again, I'm not going to let's see if we can find the latest here. Okay, interesting. Something called War Monitor is reporting that they're going back to their bases. Very strange. Okay, this says in an audio message, to avoid bloodshed, we're returning our convoys to their bases. 7 minutes ago. Today, on the route, PMC Wagner, all local emergency services continued and fully cooperated with the march participants' justice. Ambulance services, fire service, employees of the Ministry of Affairs continue to provide safety, all kinds of assistance to PMC. Local residents supported the movement. Supply stores and pharmacies were not violated. Thank you. I don't really see. It's hard to know. It's hard to know, right? This is what you would expect. Again, this is as of like an hour ago. I have a hard time believing this is true, frankly. It's possible if the MOD were to resign. Oh, interesting. This claims, okay, now they're saying that this morning, Russian President Putin beats his Belarusian colleague. Agreements further clarified. Talks last a whole day. Came to agreement inadmissibility of unleashing bloodshed. Has accepted the offer to stop movement of armed men in Wagner and take further steps towards de-escalation. This sounds just, no, this is just a repeat of the same thing. And they say Prigozhin accepts the proposal. I don't think he has. I'm not seeing any evidence that says he's agreed to stop. I just don't see any of it. Again, I'm open to some sort of better evidence that this has happened, but I don't. Here's the thing, guys. One, Lukashenko is not a neutral party. He's not. I think he is an incompetent pro-Putin stooge. He's an empty suit. So the chances of him being viewed as a neutral party who could broker an agreement are untrue. I think it's probably trying to create misinformation and slow the Wagner advance. I think Russia's probably pulling out all the stops. Again, what could the Ministry of Defense possibly offer him? That, like, what guarantee could he have? Like, going back to bases, that seems just, that doesn't make any sense. He's had so many opportunities. But interesting. This, okay, wow. This, interesting. Live map also says, all right, I want the source for this. Yeah, okay, they're linking to it. It says, Chief of Wagner Prigozhin confirmed he's returning his troops to his bases. What could he possibly have gotten in exchange for it? I don't understand. I do not understand what he could possibly have gotten out of this. Like, he's on the cusp of Moscow. He's like feet away. I will be shocked if this is indeed the case. I truly will, guys. I don't know what to tell you. Yeah. It may be just something. I mean, people like it's fake, but like it does appear to be from an official, from Concord Group, but I don't know I can't translate this myself, and I would want a translation of the actual message. It just seems hard to believe that this is actually the case. Yeah. I don't understand how he could have. I just don't understand this. Oh, here we go. And 17 seconds ago, here's him. He said, I did not accept any proposals from the president of Belarus, Lukashenko. Negotiations were held, but were unsuccessful. And this is as of like 30 minutes ago. So again, you guys see how hard it is to discern in this situation, like truth from fiction. Yeah, this just doesn't seem. This just doesn't pass a smell test. I don't know what else to tell you. Yeah, let's see if we can find. Yeah, a lot of people seem to be repeating this claim. I just have a hard time believing it. Interesting. Okay, here is purportedly a translation. Prigozhin says they were going to dismantle the PMC Wagner. We came out June 23rd to march for justice. In a day, we walked nearly 200 kilometers away from Moscow. In this time, we did not spill a single drop of blood on our fighters. Now the moment has come when blood may spill. That's why, understanding the responsibility for spilling Russian blood on one of the sides, we are turning back our convoys, going back to field camps according to the plan. I have a hard time believing it. I mean, this could be a hackable thing. Like, we know, like, yeah, again, the incentives just do not make sense. It's hard to argue. It does sound like, yeah, the BBC is reporting it. I mean, I guess this is true, but this like, what did he get? What could he have possibly gotten? Unless it's just capitulation. Unless literally the government is just like, we've left Moscow. Like, yeah. Yeah, interesting. It says, all right, BBC saying he put out a voice note saying he was agreed to stop the movement of troops advancing on the capital. It's just hard. I just want to know what he got out of it. Again, like, this is a massive rebellion without some sort of real concrete guarantees. Yeah, like, what could you possibly have given him, you know? Again, somebody's screenshotting something else here, purportedly officially from Wagner. Let's see if we can open it in a new tab. And I wonder if I can ask Google to translate it. Actually, let's see. I wonder if I can just do it on my phone. Yeah, people point out that in this day and age, man, easy to fake audio, incredibly easy. Easy to fake video. It's just, this is just a different era, man. I don't know what else to tell you. So let's see. Let's see if we can pull out. Actually, what I want to do is quick shout out. A lot of you guys have been helping out. We've had a ton of new people show up to the live stream. While I try to get a translation of this, I did want to talk briefly. If you're new to the channel, welcome. Obviously, this is all I do, is Ukraine war analysis. And I appreciate everybody that's tuning in. Please hit the like button. Do subscribe to the channel. It does help. I like to see the number go up, and it does tell YouTube that I'm providing legitimate coverage. But if you really want to support what I do, you know, sponsors don't really like war content. YouTube, Patreon, they don't really like war content. I have my own site, combatvetnews.com. It has all the news stories I can't get to in my daily updates. All my YouTube videos on here for free. But if you really want to support what I do, you can become a member, get you access to an exclusive room on the Discord, any one of these tiers. And any one of these tiers are going to get you access to the members only content, which is where I break down the news, the frontline combat videos that YouTube won't let me show you. But it's insights that we can't get anywhere else. It's not pointlessly graphic, but it is a chance for us to look at the tactics, the gear, the techniques that that we're really seeing on the front lines, right? Because you see how hard it is to cut through the propaganda. So if you want to help keep me independent, keep me doing this, go to combatvetnews.com, become a member, help us out. I really appreciate all you guys that have tuned in. So again, yeah, let's see if we can get a translation of some sort here. Yeah. Okay, this claims that it's repeating the claim that Prigozhin accepted the proposal to stop the movement of Wagner PMCs in Russia to further de-escalate tensions. Yeah. Huh. Weird. I don't know. It could be a trick from Prigozhin. It's true, Michael Silberg. It's hard to tease out. I'll be very curious to see if this just doesn't happen, right? If there's one thing we've learned from the Ukraine conflict, it's that ceasefires, or at least the pre-2022 Ukraine conflict, ceasefires don't hold for long. That we could be certain of. Again, it just feels like getting convinced to turn back just seems like this is why would you do it at your absolute strongest negotiating position, right? Again, when we look on Twitter for the hashtag Wagner, we could just see a lot of random stuff being blocked. What I also want to point out is that, it's hard to trust any good information as you scroll by, right? There's a bunch of these claims that Prigozhin agreed to halt the Wagner advance. But if we look back just a little bit, we get that blocked. All media associated with Prigozhin has been blocked by the Russian internet media outlets. So maybe it was unblocked just so he could send out these messages, or it's Russian propaganda, which I think is probably true. Again, the biggest question that should be on everyone's mind, the only way to it's just like, yeah, I just want to know what he got out of it. I just want to know how he got them to dip. So Lestinator says the only source is this Russia 24. Well, we also saw these guys from Concord Group, the message from Concord Group, the screenshots allegedly of these posts. So there's at least some. Again, there's some data out here to sort of indicate that this may be true, but it's very, very hard to discern. Again, a lot of people saying this was offered to give the I don't know. There's one rando tweet from a nobody who's like, was offered to give up going to Moscow in exchange for a security guarantee for Wagner and to resolve the issues of Shoigu and Gerasimov. I don't know. Yeah, Skyfan. Okay, Skyfan just literally reported word for word what this guy did. I'm just so skeptical. So skeptical. I get it. Prigozhin's out here. He's saying all of these things. I know it's from Concord. There's a voice note. I mean, it seems kind of credible, but man, this dude really went all out. Deal brokered by Belarus? I don't know, man. It just seems fishy. But that's me. I'm just a skeptic. What else can I tell you? Yeah. Oh, interesting. It looks like even the Ukraine live map is down. Yeah, I'm just not sure. I'm just kind of a skeptic. I know it sounds stupid. I know you're like, wow. Thanks, Bill Hart. Thanks, Jack Bennett. Yeah. Yeah, 22 minutes ago. Yeah, the audio. It just doesn't make any sense. Putin called him a treason, you know? Putin called him called him out for treason, said he had betrayed the country. He had basically made it all the way to Moscow with like no resistance. Yeah, again, they're repeating it. Prigozhin says his forces are turning our columns around. Published new audio recording. I'm trying going back in the other direction towards our field camps in accordance with the plan. There's no way he's going to survive that. I just can't believe he blinked. Yeah. Thanks, Ben Walden. Wagner funding being cut in a few days, but so far no one stopped them. Be hard for Putin to backtrack. It's true. Putin, no matter what happens, right? No matter what happens, Putin has looked so frighteningly weak. There's no way he can allow Prigozhin to live. And like Prigozhin must understand that. Like, that's the biggest thing that I don't understand. It's just like it's just so like I don't understand. He doesn't gain anything. So we're gonna see. I'm still sort of curious. He may have gotten what he wanted. Maybe he will become the Russian Minister of Defense. Maybe they did some sort of negotiation with him. But yeah, I don't know. Call me skeptical. I wonder if live map is still down. Huh, yeah, look at that. Live map still down. Yeah, people are like, oh, it looks like it was all a ruse. I don't know. You saw Putin's planes fleeing. Wall Street Journal confirming it. Yeah. Prigozhin spoke a lot of truth to power. Yeah, people say let's wait 5 to 24 hours. I think you're right, Noble. Message seems weird. I'm just a sort of, in this day and age, man, it's hard. You can fake a lot of stuff. Right, Lesonator. Nobody goes toe-to-toe with Putin and just backs down, especially if you're winning, right? If you take a shot at the king, you best not miss. That's true. That's a true fact. And when you're minutes from Moscow, yeah, maybe Klaus says maybe there was nukes threatened, but using nukes on your own territory is pretty steep. Apparently Putin's in St. Petersburg. I would completely believe that. Right. Putin kind of has to execute him now. Yeah, live map back up. Yeah, they've been branded enemies of the state. There's no way they're going to honor their agreement. They're going to go. Russia's going to go on a purge. You guys know it. It's going to go on a massive purge. Anyway, if you guys want to Yeah. Yeah. The level of like humiliation towards Putin is huge. Um, yeah, it sounds like some people are saying Prigozhin's own Telegram account, according to this rando Redditor, contracted by his. These statements are contradicted by his own Telegram account. Last attempt by Russia. Again, very curious. Yeah, Derek Baker points out AI has the ability to copy someone's voice in a very convincing manner. It's true. It's true. We've messed around with some of the tools actually for literally the free trial. I give them a 1 minute sample of my voice, and they can have me say just about anything. It's a like a $45 program, and it can be very good, especially if you tune down the quality of the audio, like we saw there. Yeah. What I'm fascinated though is that a lot of these that it's being repeated a lot by yeah, it's just being repeated a lot, I think, by major media outlets. But I'm not, again, I remain pretty skeptical. But I wonder if we can, let's just wait and see. A lot of people claiming it's totally fake and disinformation. Again, I'm with you. It's just I just don't see. Okay, so if you guys want the brief recap looks like this. Basically, what has happened in the last maybe 4 or 5 hours is that Prigozhin and Wagner Group have agreed, bizarrely. They were within a few hundred kilometers of Moscow. They're basically on the outer Moscow suburbs, and they stopped in what seemed like a tactical pause, a time that if you're advancing on a target, you would naturally stop, do some consolidation, prepare for your final push. But what bizarrely seems to have happened is that at the last minute, he appears to have been talked down, agreeing to some sort of conditions with Lukashenko, the president of Belarus, who is notoriously kind of an empty suit and a Putin stooge. And it's not clear what he's gotten in return. It seems as though he has done it at the very last, at the apex of his efficacy, right? He's ready to take Moscow. So it's not clear what he would have to be offered to decline, to turn back. There's not really any reporting that there was fighting. A lot of the videos made him appear to be either ignored or welcomed by Russian civilians. I just have this pretty high level of skepticism, to be honest. Yeah. But there is an audio recording saying that he's gonna turn back. That there's a screenshot of purportedly his Telegram account saying he's agreed to turn back. So yeah, I have doubts about this. I think it's quite possibly fake. Yeah. Yep. Polly points out that, yeah, Russia definitely has the capabilities of faking all this. Yeah. And, you know, this is a situation where they would probably pull out the stops. But, again, it's not clear. It's just not clear. It's just such a bizarre situation where there's just no incentive for it. And I know the BBC is reporting it, right? We're up here. Says he's turning back. Said on his Telegram channel he agreed to stop after Lukashenko had talks with him, according to Russian state TV. There's also a conversation agreed to with Putin. And they were right in front of Moscow, right? But Putin literally just called his rebellion a betrayal and treason. So either Putin looks like incredibly weak, or like, yeah, threatening the gates, threatening nukes. Like, I don't understand. It just doesn't make a lot of sense what you could possibly give this guy that he wants. Yeah, there's some statements where somebody, I've seen this quote before where purportedly from Prigozhin, it says, did not accept any proposals from the president of Belarus, negotiations held but unsuccessful. Everything said in the media is a blatant lie. Yeah, Derek Baker, mainstream media is more worried about competition than being 100% confident in the news they regurgitate. The quantity is not always the quality of news. Yeah, you got to trust your eyes and your ears. No, Prigozhin can't live for long after this. Prigozhin has been humiliated and wants blood. I'm skeptical too. We're gonna see what happens. I'm in total agreement with you. I think this is absolutely. I just have a tough time believing this. I want to try to see if I can find more of this. I did not accept any proposals from the president of Belarus. Let's see if we can pump it into. Did not accept any proposals. Yeah. Yeah, it looks like about a half hour ago, 20 minutes ago. Yeah, I'll show you what we have here. When you search for this quote translation, you also get some of these here, right? You can see, but this isn't very reliable. Again, Reuters repeating it, RT saying it. Yeah, just MYC News. This is as of a half hour ago. Right. Prigozhin himself denied, saying negotiations were unsuccessful. So I don't know. It's just hard to know. We'll see. We're gonna see in a couple hours. I'll believe it when I see footage of them withdrawing. I understand a lot of media is reporting it. Might be true, but yeah. Okay. Do you guys have any questions for me while we wait and see if this really plays out the way they say? Yeah. Meanwhile, we're just gonna stay on this Twitter under the hashtag for Wagner or Russia or Putin. Okay, K-Dude asks, check the flight tracker for the SUM 9121. Oh, that's that director of the Russian Emercom head, right? Let's see. Okay. That's a good proposal. Let's take a look. No. Oh God, it wants me to sign up for a gold membership. Okay. Let's try again. Okay, interesting. The president of emergency situations looks like they're flying towards Rostov-on-Don. Or south of Rostov-on-Don. Huh. Interesting. Departed MSK says it's going to arrive in Lasy near Grozny, Russia. Interesting. Probably nothing. Probably. My guess is that's just a standard, like, battle drill, so to speak, in response to a threat to Moscow. Yeah, I'm with you guys. Hard to make sense of it. Do I think it'll impact resupply to Russian troops on the front? Possibly. It's hard to say. It's hard to say. Arguing Prigozhin gets his freedom, goes to Africa. Shoigu steps down and gets blamed for everything. Wouldn't Putin live stream if it's true? Probably. It's hard to know. Like, why would Prigozhin doesn't seem like someone who's going to get the status quo. He needs to have this. He had all the power. He had every advantage. So, like, why would he tap out right away? Yeah, Derek Baker says he's not been seen on video, which is not, I don't think that's actually that weird. Primarily because he's been doing a number of audio recordings so far, right? He's done a bunch of audio. Could it be that this is Putin's play to get out? It may be. Yeah, it could be. It could be his way of trying to get out of the out of the situation. He could say something like, "Oh, we've got to bring back. Supposedly, Shoigu and Gerasimov will resign." Maybe he was offered to become the Minister of Defense or designated and functionally become a designated successor to Putin. I could see something like that. David Hussey asks, what do I think the effect on the front lines of Ukraine? Rumors that Ukraine is crossing the Dnipro. Yeah, if this is true, if this is true, then now is the best time for Ukraine to attack. Now, if it's not true, then Ukraine may want to wait. But I imagine that right now it would probably be their best opportunity to attack, to push at, push into those lines, because the level of like morale and logistical disruption is probably at its highest. Yeah, Ukraine just announced a new eastern advance around Bakhmut. Interesting, Lessinator. Yeah, I sort of believe it. I mean, I'm also going to check the old deep state map. Let's see. I wonder if they have updates. There are no updates, actually. Interesting. Nothing new from the deep state map. Let's take a look. Sorry, I'm just want to. Okay, let's see. Again, we've got this here. We've got some more reports of Ukraine attempting an offensive. This was as of an hour ago. Yeah, fighting in all directions, but a lot in Bakhmut. Wow. Really trying to roll back Russian gains in Bakhmut. Fascinating. Yeah, heavy fighting continues in all southern directions on the offensive. But this is unexpected. But this would be a better location to fight. This would be a better place to push on the counteroffensive, honestly, for Ukraine. I think it's where they're probably most vulnerable. Interesting. I don't know who Peskov is, but Juan Orozco says if it was real, Peskov would have opened his mouth about it. Yeah, I believe that. Mostly, I'm just glad to see. It looks like Ukraine is using this as an opportunity to push really decisively in specific in specific directions. I think this big push near Bakhmut is fascinating. Yeah, I think this is probably like actually a good move to try to counter encircle Bakhmut. Especially given that, let's see if we can pull it up here. Let me get up the map with the fortifications, and I'll show you what I'm talking about. So what is interesting is that you have, when you look at the fortifications, these are known Russian fortifications. As you can see, outside of Bakhmut, there is this fortification network that's sometimes called the Wagner line. But the huge difference is that there's not a lot of mining. There's not a lot of fortifications really quite deep into Russian lines before you start to see these fortifications. And you can also see that if they turned south, they could roll quite a bit. So again, I actually think this is probably a better place for Ukraine to launch its counteroffensive, where I think Russia is way more poorly prepared, right? Because they haven't, in the south, remember, Russia has spent months not doing any offensive operations except for Volodar, and just preparing massive defensive positions very effectively. In Bakhmut, Russia has been on the offensive footing. So I think that's the place that they're most likely to achieve some level of breakthrough. Okay, Algam asks, any chance this was all a preemptive maneuver for some major Ukrainian attack they anticipated, even because of the positions that Wagner occupied? Wagner had withdrawn from Bakhmut some weeks ago. So I don't think Wagner was like a real big battlefield factor. Michael Silberg says, wouldn't the first objective of Ukraine be to encircle the Zaporizhzhia nuclear power plant? No, because like Russia has demonstrated they're not willing to put it out there, that they're not willing to like use it as a military target. It doesn't have military significance, you know? I think that's the biggest takeaway. So anyway, let's see. I know we've got a bunch of folks here. Please do hit the like button. It does help. Subscribe to the channel if you're new and you haven't. Yeah, some people are arguing that maybe Prigozhin just agreed to this so he could consolidate his position, and so that Russia would get a little less panicky. I'm sort of skeptical because Prigozhin is the one who needs to move quickly, right? I think ultimately that's the tough spot. Could it be a feint? Could it be a fake video? It could all be true. Yeah. Yeah. Some people are saying that it's possible that some Wagner troops are already loading up their vehicles. Let's see. Yeah. A lot of repetition in different languages. Appreciate a Team Fortress 2 meme here. Let's see. There you go. Teams have been auto-balanced. You are now on blue. Love it. Love it. Thank you. Thank you for that. Let's see. What else do we have? Yeah, I don't know. People keep repeating it. There's no one out here contradicting it. Yeah, in exchange for security guarantees. He's got to know these things aren't worth dick. Yeah. Yeah, I just don't. This doesn't make any sense to me. But we're going to see. Oh, okay. Here's the video, I guess. Supposedly, this is Wagner fighters preparing to withdraw from the center of Rostov and get into their cars. Let's take a look. That's what they say here. I don't know if they should be happy. I don't think they won anything. Yeah. Preparing to leave Rostov, get in their equipment. Yeah. Somebody, interesting. USCB Jesus. It's a ploy from the Kremlin to mass them on one location and take them out. I think that's possible. Let's see. Yeah. So maybe he's going to get what he wants. Spectator Index reports that there will be major changes in the Russian Ministry of Defense leadership in exchange for Wagner halting its advance on Moscow. This is probably the closest thing I can think of to what he would get. Because if you assume Putin is incapacitated, and you assume that the war is functionally run and the entire state security apparatus is run by Wagner, then they may have sat there and said, okay, here are 3 Wagner yes men that answer directly to Putin or directly to Prigozhin. They are going to become the head of the FSB, the Minister of Defense, and the Minister of Interior. So functionally, Prigozhin or Prigozhin loyalist would control every aspect of the Russian security state. That would be basically the only way. And functionally, it would be the same thing as winning, as successfully executing a coup. Then when Putin dies, Prigozhin will be named as his successor. That's the only way, is if basically he won, but he doesn't get to cash in his ticket fully until Putin dies. That's the only way this works. But even then, you need a guarantee, right? You need some sort of leverage to guarantee that this will happen. So you'd have to have Shoigu announce his resignation. You would have to do something to guarantee it. And people are like, oh, that's not acceptable to Putin. Putin may not live that much longer. I mean, he looked okay in his talk there. He looked like he had lost a lot of weight. He didn't look like swollen and steroided up. But, what does that mean exactly? Yeah. No, I think the belief that words without leverage mean anything is like the classic mistake. Again, a lot of people are repeating this. There's some of this footage of them leaving Rostov-on-Don and going back to their bases. Maybe it's true. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. We'll give it a few hours. But let's see. What'll be a good source? I just want to take a peek into the Discord. I mean, I'm not gonna pull it up on stream or whatever, but I just want to see what's out there. See what the guys in the Discord have gotten. Oh man, there's so many. Yeah, a lot of people are like, I need to see Prigozhin in the vid, Derek Baker. I don't. I'm gonna be honest. I don't need to see him in the video per se. But I'm sure a video will come out. But I'm just very curious. Yeah, some people Okay, here's one example of a screenshot that I think purports to be from Prigozhin that says he didn't accept any proposals. They're going to continue to Moscow. They have a special signal for Belarus, after which the further future of the country will be clear. Seems weird. Yeah. But like I said, if we see them packing up and going home, then that's it. Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. They seem to yeah, no intel seems to be reporting it. Right, Ukraine seems to believe credibly that this is probably the most disruption they're going to get. Yeah, I actually think that that my leading theory, the way to explain this, if this is true, this is what the leading theory is. Putin is a very ill man. He is in charge of the country, but he is not in charge of anything. The people who are in charge of the country functionally are the Minister of Defense, Minister of Interior, head of the FSB. And Prigozhin was like, you will install my 3 loyalists into these positions. And they said, okay, we're going to fill each one of those with loyalists to you. You'll remain the head of the Wagner group, right? And when Putin dies, the successor is almost certainly going to be you. Or if you want, you just stay the head of the Wagner group and you become the de facto leader of the country. I think that's the only possible explanation. Okay. Johann's tinfoil theory. This is all a Maskarova to set the stage for full mobilization. I don't understand how this leads logically. Like, I don't understand the chain of logic to get to full mobilization. It's true. Wagner troops pulling out could also just be people who believe this psyop. Again, the more video, the more evidence we see, the more this looks credible. But yeah, that's the only explanation I could think of, is if every position of substantial power in the Russian government is occupied by a Prigozhin loyalist. That's the only way this makes sense. Why doesn't Ukraine launch more night operations with Western equipment? Because if you're dealing with mines work the same at day and night, unfortunately. So that I think is the chief reason. And also, they may not have large scale night vision, right? Like if your Bradleys have night vision, but your infantry doesn't, then you're not in much better shape, if that makes any sense, right? Again, I just want to see what Twitter says about the hashtag Wagner, see if we get any more videos of Wagner like credibly turning around. Yeah. Wagner. Okay, the roads to Moscow, a military convoy, the rebel Wagner mercenaries was expected. Closed. Soldiers mined bridge over the Oka. Yeah. Yeah, and then the same video. Yeah, again, people are like, I don't think Putin has power right now. I don't think he is running the country in the sense that you and I think of as a leader running a country. I think he's a symbolic head. I think the two largest rivals to Prigozhin are, as he said, probably Simonev and Shoigu. And I think the only way this makes sense is if he got those, if Prigozhin has those positions filled with loyalists. It's the only way. Yeah, Russia looks incredibly weak, no doubt about it. Putin looks incredibly weak. I don't think Putin cares. Yeah. I just don't think this is something. Yeah, I don't think Putin is going to like be around long enough to really care one way or the other. Interesting. Okay, here's video. Okay, we'll take a look at this. Here's video from the Indian News Network. But it looks like more footage from Rostov. It looks like it purports to be, you can see, it looks like Rostov, and it looks like Russian forces maybe packing up and packing in. Or, sorry, Wagner forces kind of packing it up. Again, tough to say what the overall objective is. Are they just running this on repeat? They absolutely are. It drives me crazy when they're like, we have a 3-minute video and you have a 10-second video played 30 times. All right. So I think, I don't know. I don't know what else to say to you guys, man. I'm really shocked that this happened. I think that yeah, I'll be curious. I am like medium confident based on all the stuff that this may be true. There may be some sort of guarantee. Yeah, the only way this makes sense, again, is if Prigozhin is going to have his loyalists basically run the country. That's it. It's the only way. And when Putin dies, he'll be in charge. Because, again, like it's just wild. It's just wild to think that they blinked. Oh, no way. Okay, guys. All right. You want to cheese it up with me? Let's Starseed astrology. Pluto is at this. What is Prigozhin's astrological sign? Now, to be clear, astrology is bunk. There is nothing interesting about it. It is total lies. But man, listen, since clearly the planets just went out of alignment. So let's see. According to public record, he was born June 1st, 1961 in St. Petersburg. It's cast him as a 10-degree Gemini sun, guys. Okay. With Saturn at retrograde 29 degrees Capricorn. The exact degree where Pluto retrogrades at the time of his mutiny against Putin. Oh, because he did it because Pluto was in retrograde, you guys. And once Pluto was no longer in retrograde, what choice did Prigozhin have? His outstanding military capabilities are a product of him being born with Vulcan, a Primarch with jurisdiction over war chiefs at sign 29 degree Gemini. Obviously, guys, once you look at this, it all becomes clear. Is it not totally clear to you? You know, literally, there he is, just 29 degree Gemini, right there with the Primarch Vulcan, and his you know. Oh, man. The exact degree where Pluto retrogrades at the time of mutiny against President Putin. In 2024, Pluto will once again activate Prigozhin's Saturn Vulcan Quinctax between September 1st and November 18th, the final weeks of Pluto's time in Capricorn for all humans on Earth. I love how all humans on Earth implies that there are humans on other planets who are subject to a different set of astrological signs. Whoa. Pluto aspects often sync with satanic spiritual attacks and deep state conspiratorial activities. This is guys, this is as legitimate as news gets, okay? It's all making sense now. I'm glad it makes sense to somebody. Thanks to everybody for sticking around. I'm in front of it. Yeah, I love this. I've 16,000 concurrents, and we're all getting Prigozhin's astrological sign because at this point, this is the only insight into what the hell he's doing that makes any sense. Basically, the worst of the worst can happen when Pluto's energy is involved. Treachery, betrayal, backstabbing. Right there is right in Putin's line. Negative experience and potentials that are coded to 29 degrees Capricorn, especially as they pertain to the highest levels of rules and authority. I think they just looked at what he's done and are like, yeah, that's what 29 degree Capricorn is. Come on, get it together. Duh. Pluto is central to this special time of power playing in Prigozhin's life. Listen, there's a special time in the life of every aspiring, warband chief. When you try to take the capital of your city, it's a natural time for every young aspiring warlord to want to take a capital. It just, when Pluto gets at 29 degrees of alignment, what can you do? But the important thing is to understand this is the process of you becoming a rich authoritarian, and one day you're going to look back and you're going to be so grateful for the special time in your life when Pluto was at 26 degrees retrograde. Oh my God. This is just brilliant. I also want to point out this person has copyrighted it, but only till 2050. What's going to happen in 2050? I don't know. This is brilliant. All right. Well, yeah. Yeah, guys. Okay, well, hit that like button if you were into if you got some insight in from Prigozhin's astrological sign, because Christ knows there's no insight. It's as insightful as anything else we're gonna do. Derek Baker reminding us that Nancy Reagan, unironically, made most of her decisions with astrology, and Ronald Reagan always listened to Nancy, and many other historic figures of ill repute also believed in astrology. To be clear, I don't have anything. I don't think that. I mean, I don't have any good insight. So I guess this is true. Oh man, the information space is drying up when the crypto scammers are out here. Oh, what? No way. Wagner coin. Yo, dude, Wagner coin was going to the moon yesterday, and today absolutely tanking. Okay. Wagner coin. This is the true pump and dump. All right. Everybody went all in on Wagner coin, and then boom, just totally got rugged. That's what this really was. Prigozhin was like, he's the chief holder of Wagner coin, obviously. And he basically just pumped Wagner coin, and now he sold right before he announced that he was going to turn back. Okay, sorry. I'm having too much fun. Let's see. Let's see if there's actual news. Yeah. Just the most bizarre stuff. All right, let's see. Talk to me, Twitter. Give me something that isn't just. Yeah, this is all just repeats of the same news, I think. People are like, somebody's like, you lost 2,000 followers for doing the Prigozhin astrology read. I listen. It's all good, man. We got time. And then somebody tuned in and saw me shilling for crypto Wagner coin and thought I was serious and was like, this dude, I hate this dude. Sorry. It's like, yeah, I don't see people are just, all of Twitter is just reposting this story. about them returning, which I get it. It's like a huge deal. Okay, see, this is the source. This is why I hate Twitter. Like, okay, Wagner's not going to be dismantled, unless they're going to be like brought into the armed forces, or they will become the head of the armed forces. Yeah. I don't know. Yeah, here's more video. It looks like of Wagner troops leaving. Let's see. I just have a hard time believing this is like a victory, man. Interesting. I'm just fascinated by the like love that the public seems to have shown for them. Like really very bizarre, very weird. Yeah, just like a weirdly popular just weirdly popular. This claims to be, again, it's hard to know with some of these like kind of Indian sources, but this is oh, this is interesting. This is actually pretty Prigozhin. Okay, let's see. So this claims that the Wagner boss, right? This looks earlier. It says it arrives to the coup. So this is probably in Rostov. Sees in the military headquarters. Yeah, they shoot us. We take them down. Talking about the Russian military helicopters. 3 down. If we will keep sending if you destroy them because you're targeting civilians. This is interesting. This is you destroyed a bus full of people. This is a very propaganda. Man, shout out. Also, plate carrier, actual rifle. He's like lecturing the Russian military, calling them, saying they have no conscience. Yeah, it's from yesterday. I'm trying to answer questions. Let's be serious. What do you want? We are here after the chief of staff and Shoigu. We'll block Rostov. We'll head to Moscow. You're interfering with work on the front line. You're sending men in as fodder. No phase, no plans. Kiev has been partying for the past 3 days. You'll keep partying when you're retreating from Lyman and Izum. Wagner never retreated. Yeah, this is... Yeah, interesting. Yeah, Putin retracted. Yeah, Michael Soberg asked, Putin retracting a threat. Yeah, that's one of the things that makes this so hard. It's just hard to tell what is going on. But yeah, it looks like they are indeed loading up and maybe heading back. So again, I think what Wagner believes it's going to do, like, I think he believes he's going to have loyalists installed in all the key positions of the Russian government and that he'll functionally run the country, or yeah. PMC revolt after the invasion of Canada. That's a weird thought experiment. I'm not even going to get into that because I'll get demonetized for sure. Let's see. I think it's possible they're holding the families hostage. I think that's possible, but you know, Prigozhin's definitely going to protect his family. I think that's such a tough mistake to make, you know? So people are like, I should look, how do I find, if this is true, how do I find the, these like supposed traffic cams? I don't know. Yeah, but here's the thing: what Prigozhin did not do, I can guarantee you that. Um, I think the like he's not going to take this deal and go through all this to end up where he started, you know? Um, yeah. Let's see. Somebody says, the Moscow live cam. Let's take a look at this Moscow live cam. I don't see anything. It's evening in Moscow. I don't know what to tell you. Yeah, I don't really see them turning around or whatever. I think this is just a yeah, I don't think this depicts anything of substance. Yeah, be sure to give us a like, guys. I also want to say, I think we've had a lot of new people come in. I just wanted to say that everybody that's here, thanks a lot for your support, liking, subscribing to the channel. But also, you guys know that sponsors aren't necessarily the biggest fan of war coverage, but I still believe in doing this. I think it's important. And so I have my own site, combatvetnews.com, where I cover all the news stories for free. All of my YouTube videos are on here for free. But if you want to support what I do, you become a member. Any one of these tiers is going to get you access to an exclusive room on the Discord, and more importantly, access to the members-only content. This is where I do the analysis of all the frontline news videos. This is the analysis of the viral, uncensored combat footage that I can't really show anywhere else. And this gives us insights into the battlefield that we can't get anywhere else. So if you want to support what I do, keep me independent, become a member, combatvetnews.com. There are a lot of new people who have just popped into the stream. So to give you guys a quick orientation on sort of what's been going on, the biggest news, the biggest change is that just a few hundred miles from Moscow, allegedly, Prigozhin has agreed to a deal in which he turns around, does not take Moscow, but it seems it's not clear on the exact terms of the deal, but we have seen audio, there's video, there's Wagner troops who are turning around, who appear to be packing up. There is some sort of deal that's been struck for Prigozhin to turn around and go back to his bases. It does appear to be fairly credible. And I think, in my opinion, the deal basically would grant all of the actual power positions of the state to Wagner loyalists. That's the only basic deal that could get Prigozhin to blink, to turn around. I think he doesn't want to start a civil war when there's a peaceful option for him to take power. And I think he plans on taking power by simply saying, okay, Shoigu is the only other faction of the Russian Ministry of Defense that's in control. He basically is like, I want the Shoigu faction out. I want the pro Wagner faction in these key positions. Once they're installed, he's going to purge everybody from the old regime, right? Everybody of substance and power. And he's going to install his own people. And then when Putin dies, he will either install a puppet leader at the top, or he will become the leader itself. I think that's the only deal that makes sense, that would to basically have the government capitulate. The only person who wouldn't be involved would be Putin. And as you guys know, Putin is supposedly very ill. So it doesn't matter that much that he is sort of humiliated by this. Yeah. People are like, oh, Prigozhin blinked. I don't think so. The more I think about it, the more I'm like, this probably isn't quite the case. There's just no way. There's no way that Prigozhin only wants to see Shoigu step down. Yeah, and Shakde is absolutely right. The problem is that you can't get security guarantees from like an authoritarian country, right? Because it's not like you sign, like if two businesses sign a contract and one doesn't honor their side of the contract, you go to a judge. You depend on the state and the law to broker a fair deal. But in an authoritarian country, power is the law. So if you don't have power, you don't control the law. Now, the question is, will Prigozhin be able to consolidate enough power to keep himself safe? Hopefully. He's not an idiot, but he's also... Everybody makes mistakes, and the cost of mistakes are very high. And he's played some pretty... he's played pretty fast and loose with some stuff. You know what I mean? With some of his statements, some of his actions. So I'm, he's smart, but nobody's perfect, I guess is what I'm saying. Nobody never makes a misstep. He's as prone to all mistakes as the rest of us. And so the question is, will this be a mistake, or will this be remembered as his path to leading the country? Tough to say. Yeah, people are like, oh, is Prigozhin going to have an accident? Theoretically, Putin and Prigozhin may have colluded to purge the military leadership. Sort of possible. Again, the Kremlin sophistication, the Kremlin's information sophistication just doesn't seem that high, Interesting. Yeah, there's some interesting rando tweet. These are unverified rumors. So let's report some unverified rumors. Shoigu and Gerasimov resigning. They say the new MOD would withdraw troops from Kherson, Zaporizhzhia, Berdyansk, Mariupol into Crimea. And Crimea, Luhansk, and Donetsk would be defended by the MOD. That doesn't sound crazy. But it seems like to achieve that, you would... This is sort of like driving from New York to California and stopping in Mexico along the way. It doesn't really make a ton of sense. Well, does that make sense? The point is, it's needlessly convoluted to achieve the same effect. Does that make sense? Like, they're like, oh, Putin doesn't have an option to avoid humiliation. It's like, bro, it's like to avoid the humiliation of having a stain on your shirt, you instead decided to wear a shirt with a super offensive word on it, right? You're like, yeah, you avoided people noticing the stain, but you got even more embarrassed. So I think this is nonsense. Free Republic says, back channel chatter, whatever that means, Wagnerites and defected Russian units are unhappy with the Moscow halt order. That makes sense. And Wagner inevitably cements its position in Russia's MOD and Kremlin. I think this is probably true. I think some of these guys really wanted to, but if you don't understand what you're here to achieve, and ultimately Prigozhin's an advocate solely for Prigozhin. Again, this I think is purportedly video of the Russia maybe dismantling the dirt berms outside of Moscow that were meant to help try to sort of stop Prigozhin. Seems possible. Some random stuff about Italian, English. Yeah, some people are just needlessly skeptical. But again, okay, OSINT Defender, I think they're legit. According to Russian state media, major changes to the leadership of the Russian MOD, including Shoigu out, general staff out, as part of these agreements, assuring the security of the Wagner Group. Interesting. Okay. Governor of the Lipetsk region announced that all traffic restrictions and highway closures in the region are removed due to the Wagner PMC turning around. In the Rostov arena, we are all one people. We are fighting with an external enemy. We support the Russian people and our president. Yeah. Yeah. This is a crazy deal. The T-90S they got stuck in Rostov-on-Don isn't going back with them. Oh, man, they got a T-90 stuck. Jeez. Putin looking worse for wear, saying that he's thankful Lukashenko was able to negotiate with PMC and Prigozhin. Yeah, that's also kind of a punk move to be like, to have like your loser friend negotiate with Wagner on your behalf. Not a great look. Final celebrations and pictures being taken as Wagner's forces withdraw from Rostov-on-Don. Okay, yeah, I think this is happening. Yeah, that's the question. Michael Silberg asked, would Prigozhin really trust a Putin guarantee? I wouldn't, but I don't know. I think it's possible. Yeah, roads being unblocked. Yep. People in Rostov taking lots of pics with Wagner. Man, just wild. It's just wild to me that Wagner is so popular. I think that probably makes Russia more nervous than anything else. That the Wagnerites have just fans. That Russians love the Wagnerite. Like, they just love the Wagner troops. It's bananas. No, criminal case has been dropped. Members of Wagner are going to receive legal immunity, allegedly. Duma will make appropriate decisions in the coming days. Most of the Wagner PMC Telegram very unhappy with the decision. Some will be breaking their contract with the group. Interesting. Majority of Wagner forces will be redeployed out of Russia and Ukraine to Africa. This is just common sense. This is very common, to take a military threat to your country and get them as far out of your country as possible. Yeah, supposedly Russian losses still significant. Supposedly up to 7 aircraft in fighting with the PMC forces, including some electronic aircraft, some fighter bombers. Pretty wild. Pretty wild. Yeah, I think this seems to be the conclusion, man. Again, don't kid yourself. Think about this politically. Think about what he'd have to get for this to be worth it. And again, let's see. A lot of people. Sounds like a lot of Wagnerites are disappointed with this. Here's, again, a pro-Russian journalist, but allegedly getting Shoigu's resignation, amnesty for the mercenaries, and the possibility of a return to Africa. And they're like, he signed his own death sentence. Maybe. Igor Girkin seems pretty mad about something. Yeah, a lot of conspiracies starting to roll out about this being a staged or something like that. I think Derek Baker, I think you're right. I think Putin knew he had to make a deal. And Prigozhin, again, are they actually safe from retribution? That's the $1 million question, man. Is he really safe? I don't know. Your guess is as good as mine. But we'll see. We are going to, we'll see. Prigozhin has been smart and crafty and very good at his job. He survived. Remember, he survived post-Soviet Russia as a hot dog distributor. Okay. I wouldn't sit there and say that he isn't. I wouldn't say that he's lost. I think getting Shoigu out of government is probably eliminating his actual chief rival. Yeah. And if he can put loyalists functionally in charge of these major institutions, then he will be safe, right? He has to run the FSB. And he has to run the FSB. He has to run the MOD. He has to run the Ministry of Interior. If he can get in those three positions, or loyalists in those three positions, then he will be safe. Exactly. And if you run the MOD and you run the Ministry of Interior and you run the FSB, then you run the country. Clifford Bates asks, how do we know if this is actually going to be the deal? That's the question on everyone's mind. There's got to be some sort of deal here. There has to be some sort of guarantee, some sort of action, some sort of tit for tat, something like that. Is Wagner... World Peace points out Wagner may still be in control of the most important logistics hubs for the war. Very possible. Yeah, very possible. And obviously, all right, well, everybody's heard about it now, so on Twitter, so all of this is absolutely smooth brain idiot takes. Just absolutely dumb. Totally brain dead, so I'm just gonna get off of I'm just gonna get off of Twitter. This is dumb. Twitter is dumb. Let's see if there's any updates from... Yeah, nope. Just 27 minutes ago, Lukashenko, another phone call with Putin, saying, thanks, man. Thanks for saving me. There you go. There it is. Thanks for doing that. I really needed it. All right. Okay, guys. So I'm going to take a break. We're going to revisit this tomorrow. Here's the bottom line. Let's give you guys the final update is this. Wagner Group advancing to the outskirts of Moscow, where he struck a deal with the Ministry of Defense. Seems like he got his chief rival, Shoigu, to resign. Probably another major chief of staff to resign in the Russian Ministry of Defense. Pretty much positioning, I believe, those roles to be filled by Prigozhin loyalists. Once they do that, then you're going to see likely Wagner-aligned forces take control of most of the Kremlin's security apparatus which functionally will lead to him being in control of the country. Most accounts there are some videos depicting that Wagner troops are actually turning around. There's audio on Telegram of Prigozhin turning around. So I think this is fairly credible. So anyway, guys, I really appreciate you. Again, one last time, please hit the subscribe button. Hit the like, because people are going to be coming in to this live stream still even after it ends. And of course, please be sure to support us on combatvetnews.com. Become a member. It's the best way to support what I do, keep me independent. And yeah, people looking like the chat could take over Moscow. We certainly have the people for it. Anyway, guys, that's really all I had. I appreciate you all so much. And I will see you guys tomorrow morning for another update.